What's up, everybody? James Bichelle here, and I'm back at you with another video. Today's video is going to be a little different. I'm going to be showing you my Blu-ray collection. It's a rather small Blu-ray collection. I only started collecting Blu-rays for about 2 months now. I have quite an extensive DVD collection, but you know, it was time to upgrade to Blu-rays. It's 2015, for Christ's sake. Let's get going here. So, that being said, what I'm going to do is I'll show you the Blu-ray and tell you briefly what I think about it. So that's how it's going to work, and let's get started. First, I'll be sticking with the television shows that I have, and that's True Detective Season 1. This, to me, is some of the most compelling television ever made. It's greatness. You got Matthew McConaughey's character Rusty and Woody Harrelson playing Marty. I think Matthew McConaughey stole the show, personally. It's just a great show. You get to see so much character development between these two, and it spans over 20 years. It's gritty, it's dark, the music is great, cinematography is great. If you haven't seen True Detective Season 1, I highly recommend that you stop what you're doing and go watch it. You can skip Season 2, but watch Season 1. So up next, we have another, what I believe to be a underwatched, underrated show. It's Boardwalk Empire. It's set in the 1920s. It's about Prohibition and, you know, the mobsters who operated during that time. You have the evolution of Nucky Thompson, played by Steve Buscemi. He starts off as a corrupt politician in an Atlantic city, and you get to see his progression into becoming a ruthless killer, essentially. This is a great show. I highly recommend it. It's gritty, dark, violent, and it's also funny at times, too, and it's a great show. Next up, of course, we all know it, we all love it. It's Game of Thrones. I have the first 3 seasons on Blu-ray. Do not have Seasons 4 and Season 5. I have those on my DVR save still. I should buy Season 4 on Blu-ray. Probably will not buy Season 5 on Blu-ray because I didn't like Season 5, to be honest. But that being said, Game of Thrones, we all know it, we all love it. Now we're going to go to the movies. 3:10 to Yuma. This is an underwatched movie. I think it's a great movie. It's one of my favorite westerns of all time. You got 2 great actors, Russell Crowe and Christian Bale. Russell Crowe plays the outlaw Ben Wade. Christian Bale plays a Civil War vet who's in charge of taking Russell Crowe to the train 3:10 to Yuma so he can be sent to prison in Yuma, Arizona. And this is just a great movie. The dichotomy between these 2 characters is awesome, and the ending is great. So, highly recommend 3:10 to Yuma. Next up, we have Drive. I believe this is from 2010, something like that. Ryan Gosling plays a silent Hollywood stuntman who drives criminals around. You know, he's a getaway driver. Has a very strict set of rules. Very cool character. This is directed by Nicholas Winding Refn. It's more of an art house kind of movie, but it's very violent. The great soundtrack. 1980s, like synth-heavy, electronic type of soundtrack. Great shots in this movie. Albert Brooks. Albert Brooks steals the show for me. He plays a criminal. Plays a bad guy. And, you know, usually you think of Albert Brooks, you think of comedy. But he does great in this movie. And also have Bryan Cranston and Ron Perlman. Great cast in this movie. Highly recommend you watch it. Next up is the 2010 remake of True Grit, the John Wayne movie from the 60s, I want to say. Directed by the Coen brothers. You got the dude, Jeff Bridges, playing Rooster Cogburn. It's a good movie. I mean, I don't think it's a classic or a masterpiece, but it's a good movie. I mean, I highly recommend you watch it if you haven't seen it. You got Matt Damon playing LaBouffe. The little girl was good. Josh Brolin was kind of a throwaway character, but it's a great movie. End of Watch, directed by David Ayer, who did Training Day, who's going to be doing Suicide Squad. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal in one of my favorite roles of his. It's not my favorite. That would be Nightcrawler, hands down. But I don't have that on Blu-ray. Sadly, I'm going to get that, though, eventually. But this is just a a great movie. It's like a realistic take on cops almost. It's kind of got like this found footage type of element to it, but it's way better than your typical found footage movie. The last 15 minutes of this movie is emotionally draining. I had man tears, not gonna lie. Highly recommend you watch this movie. Because it's one that's underwatched in my opinion. You know, a lot of people don't talk about it. I highly suggest you watch this movie if you can. Next up is Fury, Brad Pitt, World War II tank movie. It's got Shane from The Walking Dead playing a redneck asshole, but you know, this movie it's good. Is it my favorite war movie of all time? No, not close, but it's a good movie. It's, you know, it's dark, it's gritty, and it's like, it's visceral in nature. It's like very violent. Shia LaBeouf actually is really good in this movie. I enjoyed his character. He was actually probably my favorite character in this movie. They're all kind of dicks. So if you don't like watching a movie about dicks, don't watch this movie, because they're all kind of dicks, except Logan Lerman, the new guy. That being said, watch this movie if you get the opportunity to. The Indiana Jones Collection. It's got all 4 movies in it. You got Raiders of the Lost Ark, you got Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Raiders of the Lost Ark it's obviously a timeless masterpiece. Temple of Doom, I actually think Temple of Doom is probably the most fun out of the 4. Is it the best movie? No, it's probably the second worst. But because the acting is really bad in the movie. If you go back and watch Temple of Doom and you just watch some of the acting, it's pretty atrocious. That being said, I think it's the most fun. It's just a fun movie. Willie, the woman, not my favorite. Short round. That being said, Last Crusade is great. And Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I think it's unfairly shat on. You know, I think it's an okay movie. I don't think it's the atrocity that people make it out to be, just because it has Indiana Jones' name attached to it. If it wasn't Indiana Jones and it was like the same kind of action adventure movie, it would have been nowhere near as critically panned as it was, in my opinion. It's a fun movie. Is it great? I wouldn't say it's great, but it's a good movie. So yeah. Next up, we have Christopher Nolan's Interstellar. I know this is a controversial movie with some people. The ending is kind of whack, I'm not gonna lie. The whole love conquers through dimensions and stuff like that, it's kind of whack. But that being said, it is epic in scope, visually stunning. Hans Zimmer score is amazing, as always. I think it could have been a classic, like an all-time masterpiece, if it didn't have that ending, if it was different, if they would have explored more worlds, if we could have seen some more of that. Because, like I said, visually it's epic. That being said, yeah, the ending brings it down. I still love it. Is it on my all-time favorite list? No, but it's a great movie in my opinion. Mission Impossible 4: Ghost Protocol. This is my favorite Mission Impossible. I like it better than 3 is okay, 1 is good, 2 is nah. I haven't actually seen Rogue Nation yet. I'm going to see that today actually. So we'll see how that falls. But it's just a great action movie. I mean, you got Tom Cruise doing his own stunts, being crazy man Tom Cruise that he is. Enjoy Man of Steel. I think it's one of the better. I think it's a really good superhero movie. Is it in my top 5 superhero movies? Probably not. But when I get to Avengers Age of Ultron, I'll bring something up, because people hate this movie. They don't like the destruction that Superman caused in Metropolis. They say, oh, he did too much destruction. Well, go watch Age of Ultron again and revisit the scene where the Hulk and Tony Stark are fighting in that city. Yeah, they do a lot of destruction too, but no one seems to bring that up. But that being said, I think this is a visually great movie. Once again, Hans Zimmer score is amazing. And one thing, people want to complain, oh, it's got too much action in it, or whatever. But then they complain about Superman Returns that has no action in it. It's like, I don't know, what do you want? But, hey, I like Man of Steel. I respect people I respect people's decisions no matter what. But, if you don't like it, you don't like it. I like it. So, there you go. Man of Steel. Inglourious Bastards. This is probably like my fifth favorite Tarantino film. But, this is just a great movie. It's fun. There's really hilarious dialogue in this movie. It's violent. You got Brad Pitt playing Aldo Rain. You got Eli Roth in this movie. This is the first time you notice Christoph Waltz as the despicable Colonel Hans Lambda. And he won an Oscar for it. It's just a great movie. If I was ranking my Tarantino films, it'd be 1 would be Django, 2 would be Pulp Fiction, 3 would be Reservoir Dogs, and 4 would be Jackie Brown. This is number 5, but it's still a great movie. Source Code, up next. Directed by Duncan Jones, who did Moon and is doing the new Warcraft movie. That being said, I love this movie. It's like sci-fi Groundhog's Day. It's just it's a fun movie. It's suspenseful and it's got a good story. It's got some heart to it. The ending was a little too, I don't know what's the word, but like too bubbly, I guess I would say, with the way the tone was going throughout the movie. But I still highly recommend this movie. I'm a big Jake Gyllenhaal fan, like I said before, but watch Source Code. Looper. Bruce Willis actually caring. That being said, this is a great movie. I also, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is also one of my favorite, younger actors in Hollywood right now. It takes a while to get used to his CGI prosthetic face to make him look like young Bruce Willis, but it's like almost like a realistic look at time travel. And it's just a cool movie. It's really well shot. It's cool. It's sleek. I had a little bit of problems with the ending. I thought it could have been done differently, but that being said, I highly recommend Looper if you haven't seen it. Next up is my favorite James Bond, Casino Royale, the first movie with Daniel Craig after the rebooting after Die Another Day in the Pierce Brosnan era. This is just it's a great movie directed by Martin Campbell. It's the first time in a while that you actually take James Bond seriously, because go watch Die Another Day and it's just ridiculous. It's almost like Austin Powers-esque, and I love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, actually. It's very well put together. Great action. The first scene in this movie just grips you from the beginning with the James Bond and doing the parkour scene with the guy in Africa. And it makes a game of poker very suspenseful and fun. And of course, if you look on the back here, you got Le Chiffre, played by Mads Mikkelsen. You probably can't see him, but he was who I wanted to play Euron. But oh well. Next up is one of my personal favorite movies of all time, another Nolan film. Yes, I'm kind of a Nolan fanboy a little bit, not to the extent of some people, but I do love Nolan's films, and it's Inception. I know some people want to hate on this movie sometimes, but I think it's nearly flawless. It's got one of my favorite scores of all time. It's my favorite Hans Zimmer score of all time, and I've mentioned him already 3 times in this video. But Inception, it's just gripping, and it's visually stunning. I love the story. It's a little convoluted, but and unbelievable, obviously. But hey, it's the movies, and the ending in this movie also always makes me tear up a little bit. I love Inception. If you don't, let me know in the comments. But I love Inception. Next up is my personal favorite Marvel movie of all time. It's Guardians of the Galaxy. To me, this is the second funniest Marvel movie I've ever seen, behind Ant-Man. And I'd argue it's almost as funny as Ant-Man. It's just a fun romp. I love movies in space. I love sci-fi. So, the villain was kind of whatever. Ronan the Accuser, he was kind of whatever. But it's these characters, the heroes, that that make this film. You got Chris Pratt playing Star-Lord. Zoe Saldana playing Gamora, and Dave Bautista playing Drax the Destroyer, and of course you have Bradley Cooper playing Rocket Raccoon and Vin Diesel playing Groot. These guys make this movie. It's fun. It's just a great movie. I'm sure you've probably already seen it, but hey, if you haven't, it's just a great movie. Watch it. Next up, Avengers Age of Ultron. What can be said about this movie? It was a little disappointing. You know, not gonna lie, it was a little disappointing. But hey, it's still visually stunning. It's still a cool movie. And you know, it is what it is. And like I said, there was that scene where Iron Man and the Hulk kind of, you know, do a bang up job on a city like Man of Steel, but it's just a great movie. Same thing cannot be said about Kingdom of Heaven. This is the Ridley Scott director's cut that he wanted to release in theaters, but it didn't. It is better than the theatrical release because it gives you more story, it gives you more motivations for some of the actions the characters did in this movie. This is my problem with Kingdom of Heaven. It's a 4-hour movie. It's 4 hours, the director's cut. In 4 hours, there's not 1 second of fun to be had in this movie. It's just not fun. Visually, it's amazing. It's visually epic. The battle scenes are epic in this movie. The fight for Jerusalem is epic. But that being said, there's no fun to be had. If you want to sit there for 4 hours and not have fun, go watch Kingdom of Heaven. And also a fun fact, you have Duran Martel, you got Jorah Mormont, who's in this for a second, and you have Jaime Lannister, Nikolai Coster-Waldau, getting his head split open. So if you want to watch that, watch Kingdom of Heaven. Another controversial film coming up, Mad Max Fury Road. I know some of my friends do not like this movie. In fact, some of them hate this movie. A couple of them. But most people I know love this movie. Now look, does this movie have problems? Is this movie overrated? I would say yes. I think that it was way over lauded, way over. People love this movie more than it should, maybe. But visually, it's awesome. It's more Furiosa's movie than actually Mad Max's, Tom Hardy's character. But hey, yeah, the character development is lacking in times. That being said, I think it's a great movie. It's a movie that's best watched on a 70-inch screen, surround sound, and just lose yourself in the visuals and the spectacle of it all. I have mad respect for George Miller for doing this with practical effects for the most part. At 70 in the desert. I mean, that's pretty, you know, it's a well put together movie. I love Mad Max. I know some people don't like it, and I can understand why not. Kingsman, The Secret Service. Now, I know some people said they didn't like this movie. I personally love this movie. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. I think it's visually stunning. It's directed by Matthew Vaughn, who did Kick-Ass and X-Men First Class. Colin Firth kicks, like, crazy amounts of ass in this movie. It launched the career of Sofia Boutella, who's now playing the white alien in Star Trek Beyond. It did take a while to get used to the Samuel L. Jackson lisp, but I got used to it. I bought it. And, of course, the new guy, Taron Egerton, I thought he was fine in this movie. I think it's cool. I think it's sleek. I would watch Kingsman Secret Service if you haven't watched it yet. So, next up, we have the Batman trilogy. We got Batman Begins. This is where the Nolan-verse Batman started. I liked it. I thought it was cool. You see the beginnings of Batman. You get to see the League of Shadows, the twist with Liam Neeson's Ra's al Ghul. Yeah, it's just a cool, good movie. This is probably my least favorite of the three, but you know that's like saying I don't know, but it's still a great movie. The classic, The Dark Knight. Obviously, this is my favorite of the trilogy. It's obviously a great movie. Heath Ledger's Joker. What can be said? He was awesome. Bottom line. Visually great. The story was great. I love the way Heath Ledger portrayed the Joker. It could have been comical, but he came off as menacing. I loved Harvey Dent's character, too. Aaron Eckhart played a great Harvey Dent. Way different from the Batman Forever, Tommy Lee Jones, Two-Face. This is just a great movie. It's like perfection. to me. It's one of my favorites of all time. And then the one that some people have problems with, Dark Knight Rises. I personally love this movie. It's my second favorite of the trilogy. Is it the greatest movie of all time? No. Does it have plot holes and issues? Yes. Is there not enough Batman in it? Probably. Is Bane different than from the comics? Yes. But I still love Bane. I love Tom Hardy's Bane. I'm a Tom Hardy fan, so that's probably why I like it more than most. I'm a big Tom Hardy fan. And this movie, I just feel it's epic and I think it's more epic than Dark Knight. I think Dark Knight is a better film. I think the story's better in Dark Knight, but I think that the epicness of this movie is greater. It's like Braveheart meets Batman in some parts. The fight between Bane and Batman in the snow is awesome. Their fight in the sewer is awesome. I love this movie. Does it have problems? Yes, but I love it more than most, probably because I'm not as big as a comic book purist when it comes to comic book movies. That being said, I love this movie. Jurassic World. I got this on Black Friday on sale. That's the reason why I got it. Visually awesome. Story's kind of dumb. Vincent D'Onofrio's character trying to weaponize raptors for the military. It's not a good plan. It's not a good plan. I didn't buy it. The Chris Pratt's character is cool. He's cool. Bryce Dallas Howard is fine. Little kids were okay. That being said, the movie has issues. I didn't like how they turned BD Wong's character, the Asian scientist from the first movie, into almost like a James Bond villain in this movie. But hey, this last 15 minutes of this movie is worth price of admission. It's worth buying this movie. I got this movie for $10 on Blu-ray. The 15 minutes at the end is worth it. But yeah, it's still a cool movie. The classic, Usual Suspects. Got this movie for $5. I just couldn't pass it up. It's one of the all-time great twists. I love Kevin Spacey's verbal Kint. You got a young Benicio del Toro. You can't understand what his character is saying, but who cares? It's just an awesome movie. One of the greatest twists of all time. Very cleverly put together. It's just a cool movie. If you haven't seen Usual Suspects, you probably should, because I don't see a reason why you shouldn't. Watch The Usual Suspects. And last but not least, Star Wars is coming out this week. So, I have Star Wars, the original trilogy on Blu-ray. Now, I wished it was not the special, this is the special edition, so I got the crazy CGI aliens, I got Han stepping on Jabba's tail, and I got Han shooting Greedo first. I got the Emperor yelling as he gets, but hey, it's still Star Wars. Doesn't matter if it has those things added in. It's still a great, one of the greatest it is the greatest trilogy of all time in my mind. New Hope. It's pretty funny because I wouldn't rewatch New Hope. I forgot that Princess Leia had the weird quasi-British accent that she ends up dropping in the next two movies, and Obi-Wan disintegrate, just evaporating out of thin air when he gets hit by the lightsaber. But that being said, it's still great. Empire Strikes Back is the greatest movie of all time, in my opinion. It's number one on my flick chart. Will always remain there. Return of the Jedi I think it gets unfairly, people criticize it because they don't like the Ewoks. But that being said, it's still greatness. The ending of Return of the Jedi, I would argue, is one of the best, most satisfying endings I've ever seen in a movie of all time. I love the confrontation between the Emperor, Darth Vader, and Luke Skywalker, and it's like one of the greatest showdowns of all time, one of the greatest endings of all time. Perfectly ended this trilogy, and I can't wait to watch A Force Awakens. So that being said, guys, that's my Blu-ray collection right now. Like I said, it's not a very big Blu-ray collection right now. I'm hoping that it'll grow. But that being said, if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, share it on social media, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed and you'd like to see more content. Usually I do Game of Thrones videos, but sometimes I like to do something a little different. So that being said, guys, I'll talk to you next time. Peace.